Accessing peace. Existing without violence, with the ability to calmly resolve conflict. Downloading love. An overwhelming, deep, positive affection towards others. Activating liberty. Living your life as you see fit without infringing on the lives of others.
Welcome to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. Online at fppradio.com. I am your host, Darryl W. Perry, the Liberty Penguin, the Wombat, the uncut cocaine of libertarianism. And apparently October 1st is Wombat Day. I had no clue. But luckily a friend of mine and occasional listener of this show actually posted on Facebook and tagged me in a post about it being Wombat Day. Now, I don't know if that's an international thing or if it's something specific to Australia or New Zealand. I didn't really look that deep into it, but very, very interesting, right, that there's a Wombat Day. And since I am the Wombat, apparently October 1st is also my day. Who knew? So, we're going to talk about dreams today. And no, not the ones of, like I dream that I'm flying and sometimes I see unicorns and fairy princess, not those kinds of dreams. We're going to talk about the other kind of dream, the ones that are basically really big goals. And that's really kind of one way to look at a dream, right? The aspiration type. And again, I know I say this a lot. English is an absolutely horrible language because there are so many words that mean so many different things. But again, a really big goal or aspiration that does not have a deadline is basically a dream. But once you give it a deadline, it becomes a goal, and then you break it down into smaller sorts of things. And then you've got a bunch of different little tasks. And then once you complete all of those tasks, you've met your goal, which means you have fulfilled the dream. So we're going to talk about those kinds of dreams. The article comes from Lifehack, where a good bit of my show prep for this show does come from. As always, the link will be in the show notes. You can read it at your leisure if you want. If not, hey, that's fine too. The article begins, when 9-year-old aspiring singer Celine Tam was asked by a judge from America's Got Talent what her big dream was when she grew up, she instantly replied, "This is my dream." Of course, it's not just Celine who likes to talk about dreams. Google shows there's an uprising trend that people love to talk about their dreams. And then there's a chart showing that, yes, the increase of, I'm guessing this is Google searches for dreams, has increased, or it might be some other kind of data. I'm not entirely positive. I can't necessarily make out all of the details of the smaller picture, but they're somehow, I just blew it up a little bit, tracking something going back all the way to 1800 and showing that, dream has wound up becoming, I don't know how they're necessarily tracking this, but they do have a footnote that I could probably follow, but I don't want to get too sidetracked, so I'll continue. When people discuss their dreams, they nearly always focus on the bright side of reaching the goal. It's as if they consciously overlook the effort needed to achieve great things. Instead, they choose to put all their faith and all their hope into the expected positive result. Now, how have dreams been over-fantasized? Is over-fantasized actually a word? Well, let's not go there, but let's continue. It's easy to only sees the positive side of dreams, the fortune, the fame, the attention, the followers, the recognition. While it's fine to enjoy the fantasy thoughts of how life could be in the future, these thoughts always remain nothing but a fantasy until you actually start taking action. You might dream of being in a pop band, having a hit single, an album, touring the world to adoring fans. You've seen other artists do it, and you're sure that you're just as talented, if not more so. While this may be true, there's also a lot of time, effort, and persistence the vast majority of successful musicians and singers have put in. And not a lot of people see these things. So you're seeing the end result. You're not seeing what all goes into getting that end result. And I know that I've mentioned this analogy previously, or maybe it's a metaphor. The thing about, comparing someone's finished product, you don't see everything that goes into making the finished product. You don't see, well, with the example here of the touring rock band, you don't see the thousands of hours of practice. You don't see all of the music lessons. You don't see all of the behind the scenes of how the band actually came together. You don't see all of the conflicts of how the songs got written. You don't see all of the, for a lack of a better phrase, the blood, sweat, and tears that goes into that performance on stage. And then that's just one performance on stage. They do it again tomorrow. But between now and tomorrow, they've got to travel for 500 miles, however far it is. They've got a crew that sets up the stage. They've got crews. And I've heard interviews of some bands to where they'll actually have 2 or 3 different crews. And while they're performing in, say, Brisbane tonight, they've got a crew setting up in the next town tomorrow. They've got another crew going to the place that they're going to be in 3 nights. So you don't see all of the behind the scenes. You only see that finished product that they want you to see. We'll continue. There's more here on Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com.
Are you sick of government lackeys who say you didn't build that? Are you tired of elitists who think you need a government permission slip for everything? Everything you do is an A to B conversation, and the government should see their way out of it. Create true free markets by adopting the BIPCOT No Government License. The BIPCOT No Gov license allows use or modification of any product, service, or software except by governments or government agents. Go to BIPCOT.org. That's Bravo, India, Papa, Charlie, Oscar, Tango.org.
Bitcoin Not Bombs is a launching pad for nonprofits and social entrepreneurs into the financial freedom of the Bitcoin economy. Bitcoin Not Bombs offers premium publicity campaigns designed to facilitate an organization's adoption of Bitcoin as a payment system. Bitcoin Not Bombs is fully committed to being the hub of the nonprofit sector of the Bitcoin economy, maximizing the potential cross-promotion of all our clients and commercial partners. To learn more, visit bitcoinnotbombs.com.
Hi, this is Roger Paxton from the Lava Flow Podcast, the Free Coast Freecast, and Pax Libertas Productions, and you're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio with Darryl W. Perry.
Welcome back to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com. We'll get back into the discussion about dreams, the over-fantasization of dreams, all of the things that you don't see of other people's dreams, but you personally see and experience of your own. But first, I've got a question for you. Are you an advocate for free market money? Do you use and promote Bitcoin as an alternative in this fiat-centric world? If so, you need Spendabit in your arsenal. Spendabit is the search engine for things you can buy with Bitcoin. They've aggregated millions of products well over 3 million at this point from thousands of Bitcoin-enabled merchants. Keep your money in the free economy. Spend a bit. Use my affiliate link, spendabit.fppradio.com. And if you're a Bitcoin-accepting merchant like I am, ask about their merchant suite to reach even more customers. Spendabit.fppradio.com. That's spend a bit, all one word, spendabit.fppradio.com. Now, before I continue with the article, and yes, I've sort of sidetracked a little bit talking about how, dreams have become over fantasized to where people don't necessarily see all of the effort, the persistence, etc., that winds up going into achieving a goal or mastering an art, mastering a skill. There's the claim, and it's an oft-repeated claim of to become a master at something, you need to put in 10,000 hours. And that's sort of the low end because there's no guarantee. And, think about just how many hours 10,000 hours actually is on something. But there's no guarantee that, 10,000 hours and then all of a sudden I'm going to be the greatest. No, that's not at all what it means. But that's, again, the bare minimum. You're going to be hard-pressed to find someone that has won, like Olympic gold in any event that did not put in at least, bare minimum, at least 10,000 hours. Now, there might be some exceptions of people in the Olympics who just have, natural athletic ability that haven't necessarily put in 10,000 hours in a particular thing, but they are probably not going to be Olympic medalists. But again, that's the bare minimum. And then you also have to look at the unseens. What is your natural athletic ability? I could spend 10,000 hours trying to shoot free throws. It doesn't mean that I'm then going to wind up playing in the NBA tomorrow because I'm damn near 40 years old and I'm not that tall. And just because I can shoot a free throw doesn't mean that I could block a shot from, Kobe Bryant. And yes, I realize he's probably retired by now. I just don't pay a lot of attention to basketball. But I digress and continue with the article. And again, the whole point is there's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that people don't see. They just see the finished product, by and large, of other people's goals. The artists have dedicated huge portions of their lives to practicing, performing, and learning how to market themselves. And that's in addition to all of the other stuff of finding the bandmates and learning how to tour and how to do all of the stuff for that final performance. They've also had to overcome some big obstacles to success, such as family pressure, lack of financial support, songs getting rejected hundreds of times, no audience at the beginning. It's easy just to focus on the bright side of successful people rather than understanding the incredibly tough journey they've survived to get there, unless you read an autobiography of them, which often details their trials and tribulations. Now, the article has a section here titled The Little-Known Dark Times of Successful People. Consider the story of world-famous singer-songwriter and now actor, because he showed up in Game of Thrones, Ed Sheeran. Before releasing his debut album in 2011, Sheeran was homeless for almost 3 years. This included 2 nights sleeping rough outside Buckingham Palace in London. However, instead of letting his situation crash his dreams, he kept playing gigs and recording songs. Success was a while coming, but now he's the most successful musician in the world, including being the first artist to have 2 songs debut in the U.S. Top 10 in the same week. The article then mentions Elon Musk, someone whom a lot of libertarians look up to and almost idolize. But, I've definitely got some problems with his business practices of looking for government handouts. But nonetheless, the article here says, before scaling the heights of success with Solar City, SpaceX, and Tesla, he first had to go through some extraordinary challenges, including product failures, going broke, and relentless personal criticism and accusations. Musk admits it was difficult, but his immense self-motivation helped him overcome the challenges and begin to see the fruits of his efforts. If you've set your sights on success, be prepared for disappointments, frustration, and roadblocks. These things are impossible to avoid, and the bigger you dream, the more the negatives you can expect to encounter. So, what dream to aim for? The author here says, I'm going to answer you in the final section, the action part. But before we get to the action part, again, just because it's inevitable that there's going to be some roadblocks doesn't mean that you don't have a goal. You know, if you're driving from Maine to California, you're going to hit a red light somewhere. You're going to have to stop for gas. You're going to have to stop for food. That doesn't mean you don't start the drive. Just because you know there's going to be a stop doesn't mean you don't start the drive. Stay tuned. There's more here on Peace, Love, Liberty Radio.
You can support FPP Radio by joining the Fans program. Fans are friends, allies, and numerous supporters. Fans help FPP afford to produce more original content. You can join the Fans program for as little as $1 per month through Patreon and get perks like ad-free versions of FPP Radio News and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com. That's FANS.fppradio.com.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up in any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com. That's getcell411.com.
You're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com.
Hey, welcome back to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com. I am your host, Darryl W. Perry, the Liberty Penguin, the Wombat, the uncut cocaine of libertarianism, and we're talking about goals. Yes, we are talking about, dreams, goals, basically the same thing, right? Well, not necessarily. Because if you never put some kind of, timeline on it, and you don't have I'm not going to say, an exact figure or an exact thing. So, for instance, some people say, I want to be rich. That's very vague. Well, what does that mean? Well, you could wind up giving the Supreme Court definition of, I'll know it when I see it. I know I'm rich when I finally get rich. Well, again, that's very vague, and you might not ever realize that you're there. But if you say, I want $1 million in the bank, I want a house with, this many bedrooms, this many garages, this many bathrooms, I want a sauna outside, I want this, and you get specific, then now you've gone from a dream to a goal. So you have a goal of you want $1 million in the bank. You want, this 10,000 square foot house with this many bedrooms, this many bathrooms, this many, garages. You want a sauna. You want this. So the more specific you get, the closer it is to actually being a goal. But again, a lot of people will say that you need to have a deadline on that. I'm not necessarily going to go that far. Now, it would wind up being, probably more beneficial to put a deadline, because studies have shown that you wind up taking as much time to complete a task as you give yourself. So if you say, I'm going to sit down and finish this report in 20 minutes, well, you'll finish the report in 20 minutes. If, however, you say, I've got like a week and a half to do this report, it's going to take you a week and a half to do the report. Let's continue with the article. Stick to one dream, not dreams, plural. Before giving you some definite pointers on choosing your ideal goal, the author here says, I want you to realize this truth. Our time on this planet is limited. Well, I'm going to pick a nit here and say that our time on this planet alive is limited, because, after you die, you're still going to be on the planet, just not in a living form. I know, I'm pedantic. Continuing, and while it's possible to, or rather impossible to escape time, you can learn to work in harmony with it. You can do this by choosing a dream that perfectly fits your age, personality, and talents. The author here says, note, I say dream, singular, not dreams, plural. The reason for this is that you'll increase your chances of success if you choose and stick to one ideal goal rather than flitting aimlessly between unsuitable ones. Now, to decide on your one dream, be sure you're willing to suffer with these 5 criteria. 5 criteria. And if you aren't willing to, put up with each of these, well, you might want to look at a different dream. 90% of the work for this dream will be hard. Are you willing to suffer and sacrifice to achieve it? Are you willing to commit 100% of your time and energy to that dream? Are you willing to give up luxury goods and leisure time in order to reach that dream? Your dream will always excite you so much that you will happily overcome any hardship and obstacle. And do you have what it takes to reach your dream? The author here says, please stop for a moment and read each of these statements again. I'm not going to read them again, but again, the link will be in the show notes. You can read it at your leisure. So go over, read each of these statements one more time, or replay the audio one more time, whatever suits you. Then give yourself time to really process the statements. You may be surprised as you process these but spare time is quite important to me, or my life seems okay right now. I don't think I can spend that much effort on this. These thoughts are perfectly fine, but they indicate that your one dream should be realistic and achievable. However, if you have thoughts such as, I'm ready to take on the world, I'm willing to sacrifice my time, my money, and my energy, I'm absolutely committed to achieving success, then you're ready to aim for the stars. Choose a big dream. Then make it a reality. The author here says, I don't want to tell you specifically what dream to choose, as this could limit your decision. Instead, I recommend you spend a few days analyzing what you do best, what you enjoy the most, and what benefits you can offer others. Once you have 2 or 3 ideas, narrow these down by determining how much effort and resources they require to achieve. Finally, choose a goal and commit to sticking to it. Choose your dream wisely, stick to it, and get to work achieving it. You will not regret it. Stay tuned. There's more here on Peace, Love, Liberty Radio.
Why do they hate us? Is libertarianism compatible with Islam? Davi Barker answers these questions and more in Voluntary Islam and Other Essays. He advances the voluntarist cause with analysis of the confluence of values between Islam and libertarianism, as well as contemporary movements from the Tea Party to the Arab Spring. Voluntary Islam by Davi Barker is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores. You can support FPP Radio by shopping online. Whether you're looking for precious metals, bitcoins, or books, you'll find that and more at shop.fppradio.com. Every purchase you make from one of my affiliates, like Namecheap, Spendabit, and Amazon at shop.fppradio.com helps fund FPP Radio. Or you can shop directly from FPP with Bitcoin in the Bitcoin store. That's shop.fppradio.com.
You're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio with Darryl W. Perry. Online at fppradio.com.
Welcome back to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. Online at fppradio.com. I am your host, Darryl W. Perry, the Liberty Penguin, the Wombat, the uncut cocaine of libertarianism. And we're talking about dreams, and more specifically dreams that have a deadline and are somewhat specific, so really those are actually goals, right? And I'm going to sort of disagree ever so slightly with the advice given by the author of the article that we just read, the author Leon Ho, where he says pick one particular dream. And I'm going to slightly disagree here because it depends on how specific that particular dream is. If the dream is only, I want $1 million in the bank. Okay, well, what else is going on in your life? Are you working 105 hours a week? Are you never sleeping? Do you have any kind of social life? Do you have a significant other? Do you have any children? Are you, maybe not sleeping? Or are you abusing substances to where you're always able to be awake and always at work? So, what sort of situation do you have other than, I've got a bunch of money in the bank? So be a little more broad, but at the same time, then somebody can, well, that's two different dreams because you want a big house and you want a wife. That's two dreams. You want money in the bank. That's three. So again, it depends on, how broadly or narrowly you define have only one dream. But also, I think you can have smaller dreams. So it doesn't have to be, I want to have a bunch of money or I want this big house. You could just have a dream of, I want to finish writing this book. I want to publish this book that I'm working on. I want to fill in the blank. And it could be, again, it could be small dreams. I want to run a marathon. I want to run the New York City Marathon. Okay, well, you do that and then set another goal. You create another dream. So you can have multiple dreams. But I will say that it's probably wiser to focus only on one at a time instead of all of them at one time. Don't forget, every Friday, I answer your questions. Send those over, ama.fppradio.com.
The podcasts of FPP Radio are licensed under Copy Heart, We believe that copying is a form of flattery and do not abide by the copyright laws. Those laws serve to restrict the flow of ideas which no one can really own. Copying is an act of love. Love is not subject to law. If you enjoy the show, consider joining the Fans program and get perks like ad-free versions of Peace, Love, Liberty Radio and FPP Radio News, and also get a copy of the monthly newspaper FPP News. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com.